That is it. So we're probably just going to mail it to him. Mm-hmm.
Good evening, board members and others. Thank you for coming to a board meeting during the holiday week. Appreciate it. I think it'll be a very brief board meeting, however, and that's good. So I call to order the 889th meeting of the Board of Directors of Alexandria Sanitation Authority, now known as AlexRenew Enterprises. Board members, do I have a motion to approve the agenda as it appears?
So move.
Motion by, I think that was by Ms. Caldarelli. Second?
Second.
Second. Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Mr. Rock, could you brief us on the procedures for an electronic meeting?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic emergency and the locally declared emergency in Alexandria, the December 21st, 2021 Board of Directors meeting is being held electronically pursuant to the electronic meeting guidelines that the board adopted earlier this year, and is going to be recorded or is being recorded. The recording will be available on AlexRenew website, and the state of emergency continues through the end of January. Presently, it might be extended further, but so that will allow the board, if you choose to continue to meet electronically in January. Be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Thank you, Jonathan. Lorna, do we have any members of the public present tonight? I assume we don't. So let's move on to the consent agenda. I'll give the board a few minutes to look at the minutes from our last meeting of November 16th. Just take a minute and look at the minutes. To accept the minutes of our previous meeting.
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Moving right along, there's no unfinished business. There's one item of new business, but it's familiar, albeit sad news. And that is saying goodbye to our fellow board member, Bruce Johnson. We have a resolution that I will read part of, and we'll deliver a hard copy and read it into the minutes. The Board of Directors recognizes the contributions of Mr. Bruce Johnson. Whereas, there are a lot of whereases here, Bruce, you're familiar with this, of course. Whereas Mr. Johnson was appointed to the board in January of 2014, he served as secretary treasurer from 15-16 and as vice chair of the board from 16 to 19. He has served as chair of the Finance and Audit Committee since the beginning of his tenure. Whereas Mr. Johnson's prior roles as budget director, chief financial officer, and acting city manager for the city of Alexandria have provided valuable assistance to the authority and has been vital to establishing and maintaining positive relationships with the city and local community. I'll skip a few, but you can see them there, and this will be read into the minutes as well. Whereas Mr. Johnson, during his tenure as Finance and Audit Committee Chairman, provided financial guidance on the authority's budget document and process, making it a much improved budget document that is both transparent and informational. And I think that was a huge contribution. Whereas Mr. Johnson's thoughtful and probing questions during meetings proved valuable as the authority renewed rates and financing options for the authority's environmental center and the newly acquired CSO assets. And now, in closing, the board of directors of AlexRenew Enterprises wishes to acknowledge and thank Mr. Johnson for his work on behalf of Alexandria Renew Enterprises. So Bruce, this is the genuine sentiment of the board, and we wish you well. Would you like to say a few words, or?
Oh, a few words at my funeral here. So the reports of my death are premature, but yeah, thank you, John. John and I go back to the mid 80s when he was working for the Treasury Department's central secretarial budget office, and I was working at OMB in Treasury and then personnel branch of as a budget examiner. And we had lots of back and forth at the time because Dick Darman was our no, Dick Darman was your deputy secretary of Treasury. That's right.
He was the deputy. Jim Baker was the secretary.
Jim Baker's the secretary, and Darman's the deputy. And the deputy was given most of the budget responsibility. And we had, gosh, in those days, Jim Miller was the director, but he wasn't very much help on anything. So, any event, I remember one night you guys were up till like 3 a.m. getting ready for our the big meeting of the head honchos and stuff. But anyway, so we went back and forth a lot about budgets in those days, and it was really a memorable part of my career. And at times I think I felt like a budget examiner examining the agency when I'm asking my questions. I hope nobody felt that those were how should I put it, too pointed or put people on the defensive. It was just sort of part of my training from way back when as to how to try to figure out whether an agency is doing a good job or not. And Mr. Dickinson, I think you had similar training as a young man too. And so it's been a pleasure to serve with all the other board members and be a part of Alexandria Renew, and a privilege to represent the citizens of Alexandria in providing some their point of view, shall we say, on the affairs of AlexRenew. We've had a lot go on in these 8 years. Certainly the organization has assumed a lot of new responsibilities and done, I think, quite well at taking on the CSO project. When I first got here, I was finishing the administration building that had started before I got here, but was finished while I was here. And we've done it. And perhaps a sign of success is there's very few times that members of the public are here watching us during our meetings. They could be beating down our doors, not in a happy way either, I would imagine, but they're not. And so I think we've done a good job. And 8 years is probably enough for me, and it's time to give my seat over to somebody new and with a fresh viewpoint, and so I'm willing to do that. In any event, I think the staff and Karen leading the staff have been excellent to work with, and you all have done a good job, great job in keeping the authority in good shape and positioning itself for the future here. I think I'm leaving it at a moment when there's still lots of work to be done, but we're on a very good trajectory, sort of like one of those Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos shots. We're already way up in the air, and the trajectory's probably pretty firmly established. I think it'll be a successful mission. So no more for me to say here.
Mr. Chairman?
Thank you again. I appreciate it. Mhm.
Bill?
Bruce, we're really going to miss you. I can't think of a person more qualified to be on our board than you. You're truly Alexandria through and through. And the bridge you built with the city, your knowledge of the city, you really run into anyone in the city who's been around for a while or doesn't know you and speaks highly of you. Your work in your church, in the community, just been great. And I think you've, unbeknownst to many of us, you have outreach to a community that a lot of us didn't think of. Your work at Ivy Hill, I think maybe you were outreaching to some of the people who created the CSO problem in the first place. But anyhow, thank you. I've learned a lot from you. And I think you put us all on a pretty good footing. And we have to take it from there. Going to miss you on this board, but hope to see you in the community.
Bruce, I'd just add that I am, as an engineer, I am in awe of your financial expertise. It's been your perspective and your questions and your insights have been very helpful to me over the past few years. And thank you for your service.
Bruce,
Thanks, Jim.
so I haven't been serving on the board for very long, and most of it's been during COVID. So I haven't had the opportunity to get to know you as much as I could have, I suppose, under normal circumstances. But I echo Jim's sentiment. The finance stuff is not my area of expertise, and knowing that it was yours and made me feel much better coming into meetings and going through the stuff that was a little dense for me. So thanks for your service and for teaching me a lot of things that I had no idea I needed to learn. So good luck, and hope to see you around the community.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Adrian.
Anyone else want to say a word before we give Bruce his gift from the board? This is a tradition that goes back many years. I think it goes back all the way to when Ed Simonian was with us. We give retiring board member a plaque. I delivered this to Bruce's house yesterday. It's the lyric. Why don't you open that up, Bruce? This is a lot more fun when it's in person, by the way. It's a plaque with the
So I'll
lyrics.
get looked at it first here. The Song of the Sewer
Yes.
by Ed Norton. That's the
The
Honeymooners
original,
Ed Norton, I take.
the original Ed Norton, not the youngish actor, but this is the Art Carney character. Bruce, you got an extra long version of the lyrics because when I was doing my research, there are a couple of verses that refer to a guy named Bruce. And
Really?
yeah, it's in there. I think it's about the fourth or fifth verse.
The fourth verse goes like this. It says, "A funny thing happened to Bruce yesterday. The tide came along, he got carried away. He came out in Jersey, but it's okay now because that's where he lives anyhow."
I tell you that Art Carney can write a good lyric, can he? I mean, that's almost Sinatra right there. That's fantastic. So, well, anyway, we give that to you with
John,
friendship and affection because we miss you, and maybe you can look at
didn't
that. Have
know
a
that I
chuckle
was
and-
to have an
and us.
acting role here in reading it.
Yeah, and
Oh, the other verse was, I worked down the manhole with a guy named Bruce, and we are in charge of all the refuse. He lets me go first while he holds the lid. I'm telling you, sheesh, what a sweet kid.
Yep. And because this event is recorded, we're not going to sing as we usually do. That the recording could go viral, and that wouldn't be good. So we won't sing, but maybe when we get together in person, we'll have a chance to sing it to you. But maybe just something you can remember us by. And good.
Okay. Well, I certainly will put this on my wall, John, and I might put your name below it as the person who gave it to me.
And by the way, if you look on eBay, you can actually find the LP record of Ed Norton singing that, by the way.
Oh,
In case you wanted to hear the actual audio on that one. So good.
yeah. John, your revenge on your old OMB budget examiner is now complete.
Hey, it took 30 years, didn't it? 35 years, in fact. Yeah.
Yeah, you were very, very patient, man.
Yeah. Good. Well, put that in your study. Okay, we've got one more item of business for tonight, and that is our CEO will update us on monthly outcomes.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, good evening, everybody. Mr. Johnson, on behalf of all the staff, especially our CFO and myself, thanks for your service. You have taught us a lot, and we really appreciate everything that you've done to help us continue our progress to being the best authority and the best utility in the country. So, especially when it comes to finances. So thank you again, and you will be missed. So stop by anytime if you're still in town, I know you have big plans, so.
Thank you. Thank you, Karen.
You're welcome. I've sent you the report. I also sent you an email. Mr. Johnson's position was posted, I believe, yesterday. It closes December 31st. It's a very quick turnaround to apply for the position. So if you know of anybody or you have a listserv or a group of friends that you want to share it with, please feel free. But let them know that there is a very fast turnaround on making that application for the position. It will go to City Council on Tuesday, January 11th to be looked at. I have nothing additional to add to the report. I'm happy to try to answer any questions, either to the CEO report or to the River Renew dashboard or financial stats that we've given.
Madam CEO, I have a question on the first page of the board report. And you mentioned that 700 voters came to AlexRenew on election day. Any sort of observations on how that went in the time of COVID? How did the lobby work? How did the flow work?
So this was actually not our first time because we had the elections back in June. All I know from talking to the elections folks is they really enjoy the lobby. They come in, they know how to set it up. They use the 6th floor for training previous, in the weeks previous to all the opening all the polling places. So I don't know what else to add other than we get positive feedback from those folks, and there seems to be a good flow, at least at this point.
Yeah. No, this is exactly why we created an open building, right? Is to get the public here, and that's a big number. 700 in one day. That's a big number.
Well,
I
I'd like to
bet
add a
we never
point
saw
here.
a tenth of that at the old plant in a year.
Right. Since this is my polling place, I can double down on that and also say from my observation, it went very smooth. And the coming in on one side and going out the other worked very well. And people got fascinated. They wanted to stick around and look at some of the exhibits. So hopefully they'll be back when we can host them properly.
Well, the lobby is open now, so we have seen a little bit more traffic as people walk down there just to walk in and see the fish and see some of those exhibits. So word is getting out that that building is there.
Karen, one additional question on the other side. The workplace safety numbers that show up on the second page, does that include construction for River Renew, or is this just for AlexRenew proper?
This is just for AlexRenew proper. We haven't included the safety data. We will add that to the River Renew dashboard because that's distinct and separate. The contractor reports is OSHA issues.
Okay. I'm not, by the way, I'm not asking for it. I just was curious because it seemed like a low number for the amount of construction going on. So, okay.
No.
I had another question. I'm pleased to see about the wastewater surveillance item in there. But my question is the city of Alexandria and our Department of Health, are they availing themselves of any of this information? Do you know?
Yes, this, so if you read the last line, we're one of those sites that's participating with BDH, and that data
Right.
gets sent over to the Alexandria Health Department.
Oh,
And
okay,
so we're
good.
in contact with them.
Okay, good.
I can't remember the person's name right off the top of my head, but so they have all of this data. I'm not quite sure how they're using the data. I think that's well within the, it comes from the state down. There's still a lot we don't know, but it's a learning curve, right?
Are
We're learning.
they doing it more locally and more neighborhood specific? Do you know that?
No, it's only at the wastewater plants. It's not out
Just
into
the
this,
I mean, that would involve transportation, environmental services, I presume.
Yeah, if it was in the collection system, and that's just not, they don't have the funding to do that. This is very focused on at the wastewater treatment plant on the influent, what's coming in and how we can look at that data across the Commonwealth and see if it can't help us identify spikes or issues. But it has a limited amount of funding, so this is what they can do within the funding.
Do you know of any outcomes yet? Does
No.
it indicate anything? I did see a seminar I think you had connected us to, and I was really amazed at how early they could pick it up before the signs of the virus, before it was manifested in a person. It was quite remarkable. It's like a week, which is important time period to really focus in on hotspots. Okay, thank you.
Mhm. One thing I did forget to mention, and I apologize for this, the governor made an announcement, I believe, last Wednesday, where he's investing $1 billion into water quality and various water quality projects. In that there is the $40 million that the state has agreed to give us as a grant. If you recall, we had 2 tranches of $25 million each that were direct grants from the state, and then a promise of $40 million in this next biennium. And so he has made good on that promise from his administration. Now the challenge will be to make sure it stays in as we have a different makeup, not just in the governor's office, but also in the General Assembly. But it still looks good.
That was reported upon Tuesday night at City Council in their legislative package. I think AlexRenew and what our ask was right on the top of the list of things they went through of what they wanted in their legislation this year.
Any-
I
Go ahead,
I have
Bruce.
perhaps one of my last questions here. It's on the River Renew dashboard. There's a chart that shows the schedule, and the question came into my mind as I was looking at that the construction schedule for the Huff's Run Interceptor and the African American Heritage Park is sort of finishing up in 2023. But there must be another piece of the story there that needs to be scheduled, because my question is, if it's finished, will we be operating turning on the diversion facilities and redirecting flow from outfalls 3 and 4 into that tunnel? Or is there something else that has to happen between the end of that project in 2025?
So the hoof run, that what we're doing is, that's not a tunnel. We're upsizing our existing interceptor from 36 inches to 72 inches. And just because of different easement agreements, we have to get that work done early, but we won't have the shaft ready. So that pumps into a shaft. It diverts those flows into the very large shafts that are being built at the facility. Those won't be done until 2025.
Okay, so I still need to do those shafts. And that diversion facility is near the plant, not up at the
Not
north
up at the
end.
head. Exactly,
Got
to
it.
try to
Okay,
minimize
all
the
right.
impact to the community.
Okay, and that's not shown then on the construction schedule yet because it's so far off.
And that is, when you see the AlexRenew line, that very top line, those shafts are,
Is that
it's
where that
captured in
is?
there.
Oh,
Mhm.
okay.
And if you, let's
Okay.
see, I don't know if it's flipped over here. No. Yeah, it's just captured globally in that AlexRenew piece.
And another question, are all the permits on schedule that are listed on the couple pages farther into the materials, all the different permits for the construction activity at the various sites,
Yes, so
grading
far,
plans and DSPs and those sorts of things?
yes. We maintain a good working relationship with the city through, if you recall, the regulatory team that was developed as part of the memorandum of agreement that we signed with the city when we took over the ownership, to make sure that these things stay on time and on target, and they stay a high priority, both on our side and on the city side.
Yeah, I see that most of them are in the next few months. I guess they should fall out of the city process. Okay, just even though I'm going to be resigning from the board, I'm sure some other people are going to keep asking me questions, so I'm trying to keep up with it. Thanks.
Madam CEO, I have a question on the tunnel project schedule. What is the work at Holland Lane? What does that include?
Holland Lane, that is what we call our construction staging area. So if
Okay.
you've been in the building, you can see that's the whole
Okay.
area that Trailer Shay is taking over.
Okay, got it.
I had a question on the project design build progress, which I really like. It's very helpful. And it looks like we're pretty close, right on schedule, which is admirable. But then I noticed on Royal Street, it's still in design progress, but there is quite a difference there between 36% and 60%. Should anything be read into that?
No, the contractor is just, the team and the contractor are moving ahead. So they're well ahead of the schedule, their plan, what they had planned around the design piece of it. It's just good news. They're moving that, they're progressing that design faster than they thought they would.
Okay, but the hard blue line is where they would be per schedule, or is 30, maybe I'm reading this wrong.
Yes, the
that's-
actual progress is the
I'm
dark
sorry.
one.
I was reading it in reverse.
Yes,
Sorry.
Don't worry,
Wish I-
Bill. It's not always that way.
no.
Yeah. Karen, I want to echo what Bill said. I think this is just a wonderful presentation of schedule progress. And you know, we also understand there will be times when the lines are reversed, right? I mean, this is a project, things happen. And by the way, plans are not always accurate either, right? I mean, you know, but this is really very, very informative and just a wonderful presentation. And next page is very good too. Just a really good summary.
Yeah, it doesn't, I appreciate that. And I know the team works very hard at getting all of this data together for you. It really doesn't showcase the faces and the hard work and dedication of both our owner's advisor team, our resident engineering team, and Trailer Shay joint venture. Everybody is really committed to this project. And I will say that if we don't make schedule, it's not from lack of trying on our team. It's because there have been a confluence of things outside their own control, right? We can't control the supply chain. We can't control some of the costs, some of the shipping challenges that we're having. You know, please be aware, you can see their dedication in those dark blue lines and the fact that they're really progressing this design a little bit faster than they had anticipated in the schedule. I'm really proud to be part of that and really blessed to have such a great team behind me. I've had that with AlexRenew and to have it with Renew has been excellent.
Yeah, and by the way, I encourage all board members to visit the sites whenever you can. I make it a habit now that have a relaxed schedule to put on my blue AlexRenew coat, one of two of them, by the way, and visit the sites. Usually on the weekend, but soon during the week, watch the construction, and also the most important thing is to be visible to other citizens when they walk up and ask what's going on, and it really. It's impressive. All 5 sites are going full blast. There's a lot going on. It's inspiring to be part of it, and encourage everybody to do that. And Bruce, you can do it too. You know, the coats are not taken away. You can wear that coat, and
I got to turn it in some other equipment. No.
yeah, but the
Yeah,
coat is yours. So I encourage you to do that because it really, by the way, it's fascinating to watch too. So I encourage you to do that.
You're not going to get those cookies back, I'll tell you.
That's good.
Technically, they will, but that's a whole different story.
Mr. Chair, we are being recorded, just a reminder.
Are there any other questions on the update? Financials, Bruce, this is your last at bat on the financials.
Oh, all the financials are wonderful.
Well,
No
let's-
questions.
That was my Merry Christmas present. Thank you so much, Mr. Johnson.
Christine.
There you go. Finally got an A+.
Christine will be so pleased.
Any other questions for the CEO and the monthly outcomes report? Okay. Before we adjourn, I'd like to wish everybody a very, very wonderful and happy holiday season ahead. I hope everybody can relax somewhat and enjoy time with family and friends and the ability to relax. So everybody have a wonderful holiday season, and we'll catch everybody on the new year. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
A motion by Mr. Dickinson, a second, Mr.
Second.
Beal. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Happy holidays, everybody, and we'll see you in the new year.
Bruce, thank you so much.
Happy
you.
holidays. Good luck in
Bye. Happy
the
holidays.
future,
Take
everyone.
care.
Take care, Bruce. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah.